Hello everyone, it's Lindsay, and today I'm back with another Bible journaling entry for you guys using the newest Faith Art box from Creative Retreat. I have Amazing Grace here, and I am working in my interleaved Bible. This Bible has a full blank page in between every single page of text, and we're going to talk about doing some intimate prayer journaling. This is something that I really enjoy doing, is just writing out my prayer in the margins of my Bible, and having a full blank page is the perfect place to get all of your messy prayers. So as we dive into Amazing Grace, I'll admit I've been very reluctant to dive into this study, not because I don't think it's going to be a good one, because I know it's going to be good and it's going to wreck me and I'm going to have to work on some things, because we're talking about forgiveness. And I don't know about you, but I struggle every time a kit focuses on this. I know many of us struggle with, or maybe you don't struggle with forgiveness. Maybe I'm just a horrible person and really struggle with it. But there is somebody in my life that I have struggled with forgiving over and over and over again and being continuously hurt. And so as I dive in and start looking at this devotional, I went to, I'd already journaled in John. So I went over to Matthew 18:21 through 35. This is the parable of the unforgiving servant, and kind of illustrating, we need to forgive in the same way that God has forgiven us. And so I'm trying to kind of keep my prayer covered, because what I did was I just took a very fine point micron pen and just messily journaled out my heart this morning. This is so timely. I am running extremely late. This video was supposed to already be up this morning, and that's how reluctant I was to dive into this devotional study. And I'm going to have to see this person very soon. And so what better time than to just sit down, be raw and honest with God, and just cry out to Him that I need help. I need His strength to be able to continuously forgive in the way that He forgives us. So I journaled out my messy prayer, and then I'm going to cover this up. There is nothing wrong with covering up your prayers. God knows your heart. God has seen your prayer. He knows what you're praying for. There is some value, and I do like to come and revisit prayers to see over time if they've been answered or if they've changed over time. But this is a continuous prayer that I have dealt with for years and years and years. So I don't need to continuously see it and revisit it, and I will probably pray it a billion times over again after this one. So I'm going to do some mixed media with this kit and kind of cover up my prayer. And so this is a great way, especially those of you who teach in workshops and things like that, and you want to bring your Bible, but you are worried about, more intimate things being seen. Some of us have separate Bibles that we journal in, but I'm going to show you this technique where you can cover up your prayer. I've seen many people do this before, so I just messily scribbled it out, and then we're going to cover it up with gesso and paint and washi tape and stamping, and let it be the underneath layer to what we're creating. The overall entry will be very simple, and it will be my heart underneath it. So I've pulled out a few distress paints. I wanted to kind of recreate some floral images from this beautiful swatch that's in the printables. This is the printable that you can purchase to coordinate with the Faith Art box, so I will have everything linked down below for you guys. And I kind of wanted to draw inspiration from this. So let me go ahead and put you on fast forward, and we are going to cover up this prayer and get messy with paint. Okay, so I've already brayered one layer of white gesso onto my prayer just to cover it up for the sake of the video. You could do this also with white acrylic paint if you have it on hand. I want some of the text, like the texture of the text, to kind of show through, so I'm not completely covering it. But I am going to go over with 2 layers, and I'm just putting out some white gesso onto a nonstick craft sheet, picking it up with my brayer, and then running it over the page. You're probably like, Lindsay, you're just covering everything up. That's the whole point. This whole page is just going to all be about being messy, not caring about it being perfect. It's about the prayer process. That's what I'm focusing on. So once I dried my 2 layers of gesso, I'm going in with the washi tape that came with the kit. This is such a pretty washi tape. It's one I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of. And I love the look of like plaster being wiped over bricks. So that was kind of my inspiration for the look of this background. So I'm just tearing off little pieces of the washi tape. It's not totally like brick-like, but I'm kind of have that pattern in my mind. So I've got differing lengths of washi tape, kind of staggering them, grouping them together, and just laying things down. I'm really trying not to overthink this page. And in the end, it's probably not the best page I've ever done in a journaling Bible, and that's okay. I want to give you guys the freedom to focus on the important stuff, the important part of studying and taking notes and praying. It does not always have to be these elaborately, perfectly beautiful entries that are Instagram worthy. Sometimes it can be messy and imperfect and not all thought out. I had a question recently about wanting to see my process of laying out a page. I don't really have a process. I just sit down, pull out some products, and then just start sticking them on the page. Sometimes it all works out and sometimes it doesn't. And, it's just kind of how Bible journaling is. So I'm going in with the stamp from the kit. This has the same print from the washi tape, and I am using some archival ink since I'm stamping over the top of gesso. I want to make sure that it dries and I don't have any issues. So I'm just filling in some of those other gaps in there. And then off camera, I went ahead and made sure that everything was good and dry before I went into this step. So I've got a palette knife and I'm picking up some of that white gesso and scraping it over the page. You could use a paintbrush. However, this is going to give you lots of texture. It's going to be more opaque in some areas and not in others. Again, kind of giving you that look of wiping plaster over the top of bricks. That's what I was wanting, where some places the bricks kind of peek through and the color of the brick peeks through, and then other places it's completely covered up with plaster. So I did one layer of that, and then I'm coming back with a second super thick layer in the bottom left-hand corner. This is where I'm going to be painting and adding my stickers and things like that. So I didn't want the background to be too busy behind the elements that I'm going to put on right here. So I've gone ahead and created a little palette on my mat there using some distress paints. I have color swatching over on my Instagram and on my blog of the colors that I've picked to coordinate with this kit. I'm using fired brick, chipped sapphire, fossilized amber, and speckled egg distress paints. You could use any acrylic paints. These are just kind of my go-to right now. I really like to use these. And I have pulled out that printable to use as inspiration. I am not copying it 100%. I'm just kind of using it as a guide. I'm not worrying about things being shaded perfect. This has kind of more of a folk art feel to it rather than, a realistic shading and things like that. And I'm using a ginormous brush. I think this is like a size 8 or a size 10, a lot bigger than I typically use. But I find that when I use bigger paintbrushes, I get messier. And I want that to be the point of this. I don't want it perfect. So sometimes my brush kind of splays out and is kind of scratchy and things aren't perfect. Maybe the, composition of the flowers isn't perfect. And that's okay. It's okay, because this is just, a process. And the whole time that I am working on painting these flowers, I'm thinking about my prayer and thinking about how I'm going to allow God to just help me as I go into working on forgiveness and loving this person, going beyond just forgiveness, but showing this person love. That is really ultimately where I want to be in my heart, is where I don't harbor resentment. I don't harbor the hurt. I don't, think negative thoughts every time I'm talking about this person. And it's just all consuming, and I don't want it to be like that anymore. So I'm not only, writing out my prayer, but I'm continuously in my head praying as I'm filling in this page. So I'm just kind of pulling again some of those images from that printable, keeping them very simple, and in that bottom left-hand corner. And this is just going to add a pop of color on top of that messy background, because, beauty can come from our mess, guys. I'm telling you. I know that our God is a God of restoration. I have experienced that firsthand in my marriage with my husband, and so I know that He has the power to fix this relationship. I just have to trust Him. So I finished off with some paint splatters, and then now I'm just adding a few stickers. This one here says, "Forgive as you have been forgiven," and I'm adding the word always. How many times are we supposed to forgive? 70 times 7, over and over and over and over and over again. That's what we're called to do, and so that is what I need to do in my heart. I also added a little amazing grace down to the bottom there because, God gives us grace and we got to give ourselves grace. I'm going to mess up. I'm going to do it wrong sometimes. I'm not going to get it all right, and God's got grace for that. And then I'm just adding a few more of the heart stickers just to kind of bring some of the color around that corner a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and just block off my verse passage here, which again is in Matthew 18, verses 21 through 35. Definitely encourage you to take a look at that and read through it. It's a really good passage of scripture. And then I just added a couple more stickers off to the right, a date stamp, and that's going to be it. Super messy, super quick and easy. I hope that you'll try something like this with your own prayers. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those down below. Check out the description box for links to everything that I used today. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.